The Haunted Hamlet and Other Hexes by Lazy Litch is a collection of 5 adventure sites you can drop into your existing campaign or just use on their own. All the locations have a dark and twisted history, and the whimsical tone of the adventure is in stark contrast of how terrible the adventure actually are. The hamlet, for example, has been beset by a powerful curse. After the village leaders decided to sacrifice every other person living in the town rather than themselves, and as a result, the vengeful spirits of the people have killed them in their anger, and now all of them haunt what remains of the village to trap and kill every traveler who happens to come by, so they too can enjoy a life of eternal undead. So, when you send your players into this town to die horribly, they have only until midnight to find out what happened and lift the curse, before a horde of ravenous undead rise from a pond to tear them to pieces. Play this adventure on Halloween, when one haunted house just isn't enough. If this interests you, like and subscribe, and let's get into the actual review. As said, the Haunted Hamlet and Other Hexes is a collection of adventure sites you can just drop into your existing setting as shown in this image from Woodfall. So you cross-pollinate and link the mini setting to the themes and characters of the larger setting. So put some of the plot points and NPCs of your setting into the mini setting, and use some of the characters and plot points from the mini setting in your larger setting to blend the themes and make it all appear as part of a whole. For this, you've got 5 adventure sites in here. You've got the gold mine, a rift has opened, there's gold to be found in here, and the king or the lord's army has moved in to subjugate the place, and they have enslaved everyone who lived down there to work for them and bring you the gold. The ladder in is just a random pond with a random inn you can place on any random road, and maybe the players will never find out what is at the bottom of this ladder, but if they do, they will find that there's kind of a self-improvement colony run by sentient seaweed that is actually using the ladder and the promise of treasure as a lure to get people down here and trap them in their little self-improvement club, because the intelligent seaweed feels lonely down here at the bottom of this cursed pond. The innkeeper is actually in on all of it and collects gold coins from the shore of the lake every now and then and uses it to improve the inn, which might be an indicator that there's much more gold put into this inn than should be normally possible. The head cult's hideout is a small cave system, a dungeon system in the middle of the woods, where a cult of wizards that all wear some magical headwear that gives them special powers, and they use a special device, the transformation room at the bottom of the dungeon, to create magic creatures, chimeras, from random monsters, animals, and people. And they have been abducting townspeople and travelers around their hideout. Animals are vanishing, chimeras are let loose, and the players can come here to stop this or maybe join the cult. Orgul is a town where monsters live in peace after the army of the Dark Lord have defeated. So you have like retired monsters and foot soldiers of the Dark Lord's army. And it's just this one page presenting this quaint, peaceful little town of monsters. You also get some bonus content. Right at the beginning you've got random treasure and random weather, random day and night encounters. Here at the end you've got a random NPC generator, random potions, and some hirelings you can put into your game, like the Red Friar or Sania of Willow fame, now a full-fledged level 2 thief of her own. There's also an entire rivaling adventure squad that are possessed by spores from an intelligent colony of fungi. Then we've got the Sky Merchant, who can drop down her rope ladder anywhere in your campaign world, really, and give some shopping and trading opportunity to your players. And finally, a wandering monster in the form of the Heartstring Knight. The main attraction of the Haunted Hamlet is the Haunted Hamlet itself. When you send your players in here, they will be trapped by a bank of fog that turns them around when they try to leave, so they can't leave the village as long as the curse persists. And to lift the curse, they must find the pieces of a contract that the village leaders have signed with an evil spirit. However, the ghosts have ripped the contract into 5 pieces, so the players have to visit at least 5 locations and solve the puzzles and face the dangers in there to complete the contract, and then show it, present it to the ghosts of the village leaders, and then the curse will be lifted. However, as I said, there's quite a lot of dangers. The ghosts themselves don't want the truth to ever come out and will hinder the players in any way they can. And the Lord of the village himself will appear at the end as a kind of boss fight while the players are trying to put the pieces together. And in all of the houses that are still standing, you will usually find a trap that is trying to hinder and kill the players, or monster, or the spirit. And it's all quite thematic. And apart from the whimsical presentation, it's actually quite horrible what has happened in this village and what is happening. Note on these traps. I like to run traps as a kind of mini puzzle to be overcome, rather than just throwing random saving throws and damage at my players that they have no way of anticipating. So for example, trap in the priest's house. A religious incense starts to burn. Anyone inhaling it will become stricken with a necrotic disease that will slowly rot their flesh. So the way I would play this is to make it really obvious that the incense starts to burn, and the smoke coming from it would look dark and ominous, so the players have the opportunity to do something about it. Hold in their breath, only go into the priest's house for a minute at a time, cast a spell, maybe throw the incense burner out of the window, improvise some sort of piss-soaked rag to put in front of their faces, or maybe they have an entire gas mask at hand if they know my adventures, to overcome this as a sort of puzzle rather than rolling any dice. Same here with the smith house. The trap is that the house will collapse on those inside. So I would warn my players of this and describe how rickety, derelict, and unsafe the house is, so they can take steps to get out of the house before it collapses, or maybe not go in there at all, just look inside of it from the outside through the windows, use a fishing rod to get whatever they need, prepare themselves with magic, only send in the people with the highest hit points, maybe collapse the house beforehand and then sift through the rubble. Same here with the wizard's house. A beam falls, triggering a domino effect, resulting in a potion explosion. So I would describe that there is an alchemy lab with potions and there's still something burning there. When this trap starts, I will describe a few steps of this domino effect, so they have the opportunity to stop this chain of events before the actual explosion is triggered, and so on. There's a timetable of events which happen once the player enter. Sunrise, sundown, and as darkness falls, more and more scary stuff will happen. Traps will activate, dead villagers will rise, strong howling winds sweep in and rain pours heavily, and so on. And I can imagine playing this on Halloween and putting maybe a candle with 10 time indicators on the table, and every time the candle burns down to a new time slot, I would describe what new evil befalls the town. Finally, when the candle burns down and goes out, 25 undead villagers crawl out of the pond and attempt to capture players, drag them to the pond and drown them. Or maybe use 9 candles of different length that will go out one by one, and the room in which you play in becomes darker and darker with each candle going out. It's a bit more prep work, but I think the effect would be quite striking. Overall, I think this is a pretty neat little horror adventure, and with Halloween coming up, might be worth looking at it. I'm a bit indifferent about the head cult's hideout. The ladder inn is a nice touch, something you can drop anywhere with an unexpected solution. And the gold mine is a great opportunity to use when your players fall foul with the law or get captured in any way. If they ever get defeated, have them captured, and then they are thrown into this mine, maybe sold to this mine, and forced into slave labor to dig up the gold, and then inevitable they will try to escape and probably instigate a slave revolt, eventually freeing every inhabitant of this cave system. So yeah, that's the Haunted Hamlet and other hexes. You can follow my affiliate link in the description down below to pick up the PDF on drive-thru-RPGs. I will get a bit of a commission, and that helps me and the channel out. Also have a look at the books I have written. You can find them on Amazon Kindle, also link in the description down below. Thanks for watching, and until next time.